ended up number 1, baby.
Yeah.
We haven't lost anything. We got like the best branding, best stadium, won the first half.
Best mascot
for show.
Yeah.
We got people playing in the Padres. We had Fernando Tatis. Like it's been
tough
a win.
division too.
We had
a lot of really good farm systems.
Yeah. We also had Ruckus on the podcast, but you just heard a lot of this. Ruckus didn't have a lot to say.
He really didn't. It was a really quick segment. Love you, buddy.
From the SodPod.com studios, telling stories from around our little piece of Texas.
Ooh, baby.
This is the Doghouse Podcast with Michael, Chase, and Seth.
Hello.
Talking all things baseball in the Yellow City.
And welcome to episode 14 of the Doghouse Sports Talk Show on the SodPod.com. The last time the guys were together to record was June 26th on the rooftop patio at Cask in Cork, and we have more from that session. On this show, Superfan Ryan is still at the table, and a little later, Michael has an interview from Hodgetown with James Christopher from Austin. James is the host of Let's Get To, like the Doghouse, a baseball podcast from the fans' perspective. That's coming up in segment 2, but first, we get this episode started with a question for our own superfan, Ryan.
Again, we're here with superfan Ryan Cuxhausen. Ryan, tell us why you like the Sod Pod, maybe what we should do more of or less of. What drew you to the podcast?
I like the podcast simply because you all get the opportunity to interview some of these players, and it gives the fan a little opportunity to see kind of the history of the player, where they were from, how they were brought up in baseball. Did they play other sports? Like Buddy Reed played countless different sports. That's incredible. But it just gives us the opportunity to kind of see in their background or their history how they came up.
Yeah.
I love the interviews. Sam Levitt was a lot of fun. Zuniga, we now know he likes chicken parm.
Yeah.
My wife makes a legit chicken parmesan, so anytime Zuniga, hit me up. I'll have the wife throw some on.
Dinner on Friday at the Cuxhausen, chicken parm. Brad Zuniga, you're invited.
There we go.
Brad Zuniga looks like he can put down about 2 of those.
Yeah, you're going to have to make Brad
He's
3
like,
plates.
what, 6'6", right?
Yeah, he's a beast.
He is huge. We got the opportunity to do the Sod Poodle experience with my son's coach pitch team. So we went down on the field. I was one of the coaches that went down. And getting to see Zuniga and everybody down there throwing and then in the dugout, that dude is a beast. Yeah. I mean, I'm a decent-sized guy, 6'2", but he overshadows me with ease.
Cool thing about that, one of my guys I play that fantasy baseball with, his son played on a team like you're talking about. He got to run out with Fernando Tatis Jr. Got the autograph. I mean, it's cool the access that we have to him. Like you said, you sit. Where are those places you sit? Third base on the.
So yeah, third base line, right by the bullpen. Sometimes
you're seeing major league talent at a high school viewpoint, right? I mean, it is awesome.
We talked a little bit about Travis Radke. Travis Radke has not only been pitching lights out. Travis Radke is just a hands-down good guy. As Ryan alluded to earlier, Travis Radke is one of the first guys out of the locker room before the game, signing autographs for kids, talking, having a good time, just loving the game of baseball. He's one of the last off the field, signing autographs, talking to kids, talking to fans. Travis Radke just got called up to El Paso. Sad day for Sod Poodles fans because he's been pitching great and he's a great guy to have around. But good for you, Travis
That's
Radke.
our second closer to lose.
Yeah.
Relief, as good as our position players are, like our pitching has been lights out for sure.
And this is a testament to how good of a guy Travis Radke is. I witnessed the unfortunate situation of a young boy getting hit in the head right there off the third baseline behind the bullpen, bullpen bench. Got hit in the head. He was okay. He was fine. But Travis Radke's eyes did not leave that kid the whole time. The game continued, and Travis Radke was watching what was happening to that young fan. And that's just a huge testament of what kind of person Travis Radke is.
I'll second that. We sat in the picnic area. It was Father's Day. We were down there for a church event, and we were the first table right there behind the bullpen bench. And we got there early, and he was signing all kinds of autographs, talking to kids. I mean, he's just a super genuine guy. Like I said, there was foul ball. He would pick out one person 30 yards down the line and walk over and throw the ball to him.
See, and another thing that is a testament to the whole organization, the whole Sod Poodles organization, is what it's done to Amarillo, the fans, and not only the fans, but even the naysayers, right? So there's still naysayers out there. The naysayers aren't listening, so...
Well, they also don't know what they're talking about.
Right. But...
Yeah, anybody I've ever talked to that just wanted to badmouth the team they'd never been to a game, they didn't...
Yeah, no.
Every point they brought up was either incorrect or you're like, you just don't, you just never been. That's just your
You want to hear the best one? Do you want to hear the best one? Okay, Michael,
Always.
hold your point because you're going to follow up with the best point I've heard so far. I had someone the other day come to me, and they were upset about, oh, yeah, there's good. I guess it's cool. But my drainage tax, my water drainage tax has gone up $1. What if you have a lot of properties? It's like, well, I guess you could increase your rent by $1, but what does that have to do with the baseball field? And she's like, well, it's just coincidence that they, built the ballpark and now it's gone up $1 on the drainage tax. Like, you don't think it's coincidence that we built like 3 different, what do you call them, like home development centers where water was literally sitting 3 years ago?
Yeah.
I mean, that's how ridiculous it is. So you have no credibility to that.
But there's an article out showing that Amarillo's sales tax revenue for April was up $600,000. If you don't think that's at all contributed to the Sod Poodles, I'm going to go ahead and step out on a limb and say you're really wrong. We've got people coming in from Oklahoma. We've got people coming in from eastern New Mexico. We have Baseball Brit coming in from Europe.
Baseball Brit. That was legit.
England to Europe.
Yeah, so to think, I'm going to go, this is going to get cut out of the podcast, but to be small-minded enough to think that this isn't affecting us regionally, you're real wrong. So the $600,000 in April, if you don't think a cent of that was contributed to baseball, you're wrong.
I know, for all the haters, reiterate, we've already posted the interview with Baseball Brit, but just reiterated what he said. What happened? This hasn't happened on his entire journey. People have been following, especially Major League Twitter followers like myself, Michael, Ryan, and Chase. Baseball Brit is coming over. He's living in Korea. He's wanted to follow like the whole season, 162 games, going to see the American experience for baseball. Didn't happen the entire time. What did he do when he came to Amarillo? Reiterate.
So if you haven't listened to the Baseball Brit interview, get on it. Baseball Brit called out all of Amarillo and said, if you have not been here, realign your priorities. And this dude's coming from across the pond, and he's going to all these minor league, major league ballparks across America. And we've got Baseball Brit. We've got Joey telling us to get our priorities straight.
He delayed his trip. The only time he delayed his trip on this whole excursion he went on, the only time he delayed his trip was in Amarillo, and that was to go to a second game because he loved it so much.
And he was such a cool guy. I knew he was here from Twitter, right? So there's another fellow podcaster, Austin. Austin, I hope you're listening. Austin had a adult beverage with him earlier that night, and I talked to Austin with East Village Times. Shout out to East Village Times. If you're not following EVT on Twitter, follow EVT and
Padres
Austin.
Twitter.
But Austin introduced me to him, and he was such a cool, nice, humble dude. Loves Texas, loves the Midwest, really. Not fond of the East and West Coast, which, I mean, Texas is its own country. We're mid-coast.
Well, that's where we defeated him, though, so I can understand that, right?
Yeah.
He goes to the East Coast, like, these are all these losses. We lost this battle, we lost this battle.
Yeah. So Joey was just an awesome guy. He had so many positive things to say about Amarillo. And just for somebody like myself to fanboy over Baseball Brit being in Amarillo and wanting to meet him, and Benjamin Hill. Benjamin Hill was in town. Benjamin's a writer for MLB.com. He covers the MILB experience. To meet those guys here in Amarillo was awesome. And that's something that the Sod Poodles are bringing to town. That's not that would have never happened otherwise. They're not going to come to the Dilla Villa and watch the Dillas play. Again, my dad's got the Dilla Villa, the Dilla Dude bobblehead, and I want it. No offense, and I grew up going there, but this isn't Texas Louisiana League baseball, right? This is affiliated ball, so independent ball has a whole nother place, a whole nother perspective.
So while we're on the subject right quick, I'm not a season ticket holder. I've been to several games, but right now they're on this huge away trip. It almost sends me into like this depressive state. Like it's just oh my gosh, what am I going to do after work?
Yeah.
You know?
I haven't seen a Sod Poodles game in like 10 days, and I'm like, what the heck? We're on a road trip, the All-Star game? Yeah, I'm with you, man. It's like, the Sod Poodles are out. Like, guess I'm gonna catch 3 innings of the Rangers game. Oh, the Rangers aren't playing, the Astros are? I'm not. I'm just gonna watch Netflix. Thank you to Cask and Cork for having us. Thank you, Ryan Cuxhausen. We've got Ryan Cuxhausen here with us, the Sod Pod Superfan of 2019. Thank you to Don Rhode and Cask and Cork for having us out. Beautiful evening, sun's going down. We've got some music playing in the background. We've got some folks enjoying date night. We still have the ladies enjoying happy hour back in the back. We don't want them to hear it, but they've been here for quite a while. Got some music playing here. Who is this playing, guys?
Andy Chase.
Andy Chase,
Cundiff.
Yeah.
Local legend.
Legend, Andy Chase.
He's a local staple at various restaurants around town. You can go to just about, if you know where he's going to be, you can see him just about every night of the week.
Yeah, sun's down and he's still wearing his sunglasses. Andy Chase.
He'll play just about any song you want him to. From Johnny Cash to Jim Croce.
What about Lady Gaga?
I don't know. Why don't you go ask him?
Poker face.
Why don't you go ask him if he'll play Poker Face?
After this recording, we are going to karaoke with Andy Chase.
And recently, Michael caught up with James Christopher on his first ever visit to our little piece of Texas. James is the director of the Austin Revolution Film Festival and host of Let's Get To, a podcast about America's pastime from the fans' perspective.
James, so tell us a little bit about your experience so far here in Amarillo. So you came up from the Austin, Round Rock area. First time in Amarillo?
My first time in Amarillo altogether, yeah.
Okay. So when you got to Amarillo and you came and you saw Hodgetown for the first time, what went through your mind? What were your initial thoughts seeing the ballpark?
Awesome. You drive up from Austin and you're in this, like, it's obviously wide open spaces. It's West Texas. It's beautiful. And then it's like this oasis opens up and you've just got this baseball park and it's beautiful. I love everything about its design. The way they're doing their luxury boxes to the accessibility for fans that maybe don't have luxury box money. I think everything about it is really just really well designed, well thought out for sure.
We were talking right before we jumped on the mic here about the attendance. Tell us your thoughts on the attendance that you've seen at the ballpark so far.
So for our show, we've been covering minor league baseball games since the season started. This is the best attended minor league game that we've been to. 2 nights in a row now. The stadium is packed. People are involved, and it really is. And they're into the baseball. It isn't just, hey, we came out here because there's a cheap hot dog or whatever. No, it's really been a really, really full and active crowd.
James, tell us a little bit about your podcast and what got you interested in baseball and why you wanted to start a podcast about minor league baseball that you've been doing for how long now?
So it's our first season. We just had our 20th episode, but really the focus is on, minor league baseball is awesome. And I'm talking about affiliated minor league baseball, and I'm talking about really good independent league baseball. And it's really important, I think, to the culture of our country. And we wanted to do a show about that cultural impact and kind of what that means. And so we've been traveling the country, and we've got many more trips to go after this one. And that's really what we are.
So where are you at on trips? How many trips have you been on, and how many trips do you have planned? Can you put a number to it?
It's funny because I've been updating this map so we just added the Sod Poodles to the map. I think this is our 6th or 7th trip this season, and I'm about to go on a stretch for the next 3 weeks where I think I'm going to 9 more parks.
And obviously, Amarillo, Hodgetown, the Sod Poodles, hands down your favorite, right?
It's up there for yeah, it's funny. No, but really and truly, I would put this one. I really like Whataburger Field, and I really like Cheney Stadium in Tacoma. Those are the three that we really have been to that we love the most.
So just in talking to you, the listeners are going to love this because we've already got a clash on the show. Texas Rangers, Houston Astros. Big Houston Astros fan here. Have you always been a fan of the Hooks? Did you go to the Hooks as a kid? Did you go to Astros game as a kid? Being from Houston, what started your love of baseball?
Well, I grew up in the Astrodome. I was an Astros buddy that went to 15 games in the Dome a year. And I first remember loving and feeling pain from a team in '86 when they lost to the Mets. And then that was like, oh, baseball's awesome. My team is great. Oh, this sucks because, when I was 10 years old. As far as the Hooks go, I didn't really know about minor league baseball until I married a Missions fan. And because, again, I'm going to the Astrodome. And in many ways, like if I had to just pick up and go to a game, I'd go to a minor league game over a major league game any day of the week.
Absolutely. Just the culture of minor league baseball, I think that we can agree is something that just sticks out a lot more than maybe Major League Baseball to a lot of fans. The naming process, there's so many things. You and I talked about Brandios and what Brandios has done for baseball and the naming of teams, and that we've both followed that very, very closely. Could you tell us a little bit about some of your favorite maybe team names that Brandios has come, some of their branding? Could you just kind of dive in and tell us a little bit about that?
Well, Sod Poodles is among them. Very excited for the Rocket City Trash Pandas that are coming, and even go to a different direction because it's a little less quirky. I like the branding and the look of the Fayetteville Woodpeckers, and having been in the military for 7 years, I know all about avoiding the red cockaded woodpecker. So to see that kind of become a baseball team has been fun. But what I even like too is the alternative names. Hanging out and going to see the Corpus Christi Blue Ghosts, and the Timber Rattlers are playing as the oh my God, they were the Undertaker. Well, that's the Undertaker. They also played Lederhosen as the beer or something or others. To me, that I think is part of the magic of it, of really seeing the culture come through in all these different, very different brands.
James, tell us what has stood out in your mind the most so far in Amarillo. It doesn't even have to necessarily be the ballpark, and this might be a premature question because I know you're going to PDC tomorrow. We've talked to a lot of the players with the Sod Poodles, and that's one of their favorites. But what stands out in your head when you leave, aside from going to the Powder Canyon tomorrow, when someone says Amarillo, Texas, what's going to pop into your head?
Well, for me, it will come back to the ballpark. And what I think is cool about the ballpark, again, goes back to the amount of people that are here and enjoying all the different aspects of this ballpark has to offer, and having as equally a good time no matter where they are. And I think that's what it is. I think it's community. I think it's been cool to drive through Amarillo and see the Sod Poodles logo everywhere, and seem like people have embraced their baseball team because it's your baseball team, and you gotta love your baseball team. And I think that's the thing that's going to stick with me the most, I think.
Everyone, James Christopher here on the show with us this evening here at Hodgetown. James, tell us how to find you on social media, and tell the listeners how to listen to your podcast. Where can they find your podcast? His podcast is Let's Get To. Everybody, Let's Get To. Fantastic minor league baseball podcast. Where can we find you? Twitter, Instagram, what are you on, and how do we listen?
Easiest thing to do is go to letsget2.com. You'll be able to link to all our social media there, and then we're on Google Play, we're on iTunes, all that stuff. So everything that you need to do is easy to find from that, just letsget2.com. And you can find all of our archive shows.
James, we appreciate you being on the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
And thanks so much to James Christopher for joining us on this episode. Links to James' podcast, Let's Get To, can be found in the show notes for this episode. Thank you so much for listening to the show, recorded on the rooftop patio at Cask and Cork in Town Square Village. Check out the new summer menu and enjoy a panhandle sunset from a view like none other on that rooftop patio. Follow the guys on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. Search for The Sod Pod and join us in the conversation of all things baseball in the Yellow City. SodPod.com Studios. Telling stories from around our little piece of Texas.